All right. So imagine this. You're standing over a bucket of water trying to mix salt with literally no proper tools, and the only thing within reach is a plastic hanger. Yeah, that was me during my first ever saltwater tank water change. And let me tell you, I was convinced I was about to mess everything up. But somehow, against all odds, it actually worked. Well, mostly. Today, I want to take you through the whole experience because if you're new to saltwater tanks, or even just thinking about starting one, this might just save you from the same ridiculous situation I found myself in. So let's rewind a bit. Before this moment, I had been staring at my saltwater tank, knowing I needed to do my first water change. I had read all the articles, watched the YouTube videos, and listened to other hobbyists talk about how important it was. Make sure the salinity is perfect. Match the temperature. Don't stress out your fish. Use a power head or pump to mix the salt. And in my head, I thought, okay, I got this. But the moment I actually started, that's when reality hit me. First problem, I had no idea how much water to take out. I mean, sure, I knew the general rule of 10 to 20%, but standing in front of the tank, siphon in hand, suddenly made it feel way more complicated. What if I took out too much? What if my fish freaked out? What if I somehow just ruined everything? I decided to start small. Maybe around 15% of the water, I got the siphon going, which, by the way, took me way longer than it should have. Why is that always the most awkward part? And I watched as the water started draining into the bucket. So far, so good. No disasters, no fish panic. I was feeling confident. But then came the part I wasn't ready for, mixing the new salt water. Now, this is where things got interesting. I had my bucket of fresh roadie water, I had my reef salt, and I was ready to go. I poured in the salt, expecting some magical instant mix to happen. Spoiler, it didn't. At this point, I realized something crucial. I had absolutely nothing to mix it with. No pump, no power head, not even a wooden spoon. And as I looked around my room, my eyes landed on the one thing that seemed even remotely usable, a plastic hanger. I had two choices: A, wait until I could get something better, or B, just go for it. And of course, I went for it. So there I was, swirling salt water around in a bucket with a hanger, thinking, this is either the most resourceful thing I've ever done or the dumbest. But surprisingly, after a few minutes, the salt dissolved. No weird floating bits, no clumps, just clear, properly mixed salt water. And in that moment, I thought, huh, maybe I actually know what I'm doing. With my hanger mixed salt water ready, it was time for the real test, putting it back into the tank. I was weirdly nervous, like I was about to introduce some foreign substance that would somehow make everything explode. I took it slow, pouring the new water in carefully, making sure I wasn't shocking my fish or stirring up the sand too much. And nothing bad happened. No fish freakouts, no cloudy water, no instant disaster. It actually worked. At the end of it all, I took a step back, looked at my tank, and realized something. I had completely overhyped how difficult water changes would be. Sure, I didn't have the perfect setup, and yeah, mixing salt with a hanger probably isn't the ideal method, but at the end of the day, my tank was fine, my fish were fine, and most importantly, I was fine. So here's what I learned from this experience. First, don't overthink water changes. They're not as complicated as they seem. Second, always have a proper tool for mixing salt water. Trust me, a power head or even a large spoon would have made things way easier. And third, sometimes you just have to work with what you got, even if it's a hanger. So that's my first water change story. A little chaotic, but way easier than I expected. If you've ever had a funny or unexpected moment with your aquarium, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment, send me a message, or just keep following along as I figure out this whole saltwater tank thing, one mistake at a time. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Happy reefing.